Hey everyone, how you guys doing?
Who's that?
Well, I started the Brooke Shields episode or something, so let's not be over dramatic.
She's so nonchalant. Meanwhile, I'm over here like a happy puppy, just like, she's back.
Hey everyone, what's going on? Hi, I'm Jess.
I'm Jennifer Goldstein Sullivan.
All right, I'll say my last name. I'm Jessica Matlin. Welcome to Fat Mascara, the podcast about all things beauty through the lens of culture.
Yes.
Welcome
back, Jess.
Welcome. I'm saying welcome back. You've been here holding down the fort, Jen. I just want to...
Aw.
Yeah, you're doing an awesome job. And thank you to our amazing guest host. We're going to get to that. So if you're just jumping in and you don't listen to Fat Mascara and you land on this episode, how strange to walk into this one. I am the co-host of Fat Mascara. I have been gone for a few months, and this is my first return to FM after, a little bit of a break, you called it a sabbatical, which makes you feel like a college professor.
Did you? I think I gave it that name.
You gave it that name, which I was like, I'm not writing a book or going on like I don't know, sabbatical makes me feel like so college professors go, and what do they do on sabbatical?
They usually
write a fancy
book.
word.
When I was at Cosmo Girl, I remember our photo editor somehow finagled that she was going to have a sabbatical.
Did she threaten
I don't know. She went
mental breakdown, or was she there for 15 years?
No, she just was like, I'm going to another country. I need to explore this part of my heritage or whatever. She made it into an educational.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was cool. You're right. Now that I'm thinking about it, sabbaticals usually have an educational bent. What did you learn during your 3 months we gave you off of Fat Mascara? What project are you bringing us back?
Well, you can offline about all the things I learned.
I learned a lot. What did you think of the show while you were gone? Were you listening at all here and there?
Well, yes, of course. Yeah. Well, I learned a lot from our guest hosts. A really interesting, really dynamic group. Everyone brought something really different to the table.
I felt like I was speed dating.
It did have a speed dating vibe, I will say. It was like, if it were a movie, everyone brought something very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's me across the table from them in the montage where she's trying to find
some
one.
people, it was somebody who really got into the rhythm. Some people talked a lot. They brought their energy. I liked it, though. I thought everyone was great.
Yeah.
I thought everyone was great, truly. Two people who I really love the energy, but this is really unfair because they're our friends.
Who?
Well, I loved Garrett because we talk to Garrett all the time, at events.
I feel like, I love how we're burying the lead here. I feel like we should just come out with it. We loved him so much.
No, but this sounds like it was a contest, and it wasn't.
So yeah, you will, but you're back now, of course.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So this is a situational thing. Okay, Sorry, I feel like I'm backing into this. Hi, maybe we should structure a story. Okay, so I'm coming back, but I'm not coming back in a full capacity because things are just wild right now. Things are wild. Okay.
You'll be here every other week about.
Yeah,
right?
About every other week. Yeah. Basically, okay, just things are crazy right now.
Don't make it. Come on. I know you feel silly about it, but
yeah. So when we started the podcast, both of our lives were very different. Okay. I'm just going to talk about myself. I'm only going to speak for myself right now. Remember I was talking to Amanda DeCadenet, and I was all I was in a studio apartment, shivering all alone, on the west side of our highway. We started the podcast. We're concepting the podcast. That was literally I had a boyfriend and no children, was at Cosmo, part of the team.
You weren't even a beauty director at that point. Okay.
And such a different lifestyle. And now I'm not even working in publishing, and I have 2 teams. I have a child. I'm married. It's nuts. I live in New Jersey. This is a crazy different lifestyle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not also add 16 hours to every day in that time?
And then the second shift, shout out moms if you know what I'm talking about. The morning and the night shift. So it's Jeanetta's no longer with us. I have a new crazy cat.
Who even thought I would have a pet 7 years later? Or be married. I'm the whole other
You have
man.
a whole nother, you have a
Yeah.
whole new man.
So you're a busy woman. You're a busy woman, I think is
Yeah,
the.
but as are you. As are you. And you've made the podcast into something amazing, and it looks stronger and different, and it's in such a stronger place. And I think that it's time to bring in some new voices.
Yeah.
And let's get back to Garrett.
We've invited Garrett to put a ring on it. An official member of contributor of to the fan.
Yes.
And we might have another person joining as well. Garrett's actually going to come on with me and Jess in in a week or two. We have to talk logistics so we can all chat together. But Jess knows him well. I think the reason you guys all responded so well, because I got a lot of DMs. We got notes on the Spotify. When you listen on Spotify, you can give your response to the podcast. By the way, I love that. Everybody listen on Spotify so you can write into us after each episode. I just love seeing the responses.
Yeah.
People loved Garrett. And that's no surprise to me.
He's fun. He's a really fun person to chat with.
He's smart. He has different interests than I do. He loves the surgery, knows a lot about the medical community. Did I mention he's man? That's also very different than me and you. So he will be joining us more. He brings some Southern charm. I don't know. Let's wait and hype him up when he's on the mic. But you'll be hearing more from Garrett going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's a really great idea to just bring more voices into the conversation. But yeah, Jen and I aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a lot of housekeeping.
It was. But you know what we were up to. Nobody's heard about what went on at Moda in the last 4 months. You said 2 teams. Tell people what you're doing. Tell me if you saved me a fragrance discovery set.
Oh, it's funny you should ask. So, all right, so we'll kick it off with Moda. So, yeah, I've been busy at Moda. I think you guys, if you are consistent listeners, you know that one of the reasons why I needed to just take a step back for a minute was I'm now also overseeing home. So it's been really cool, but let's talk about beauty first. One of the projects I was working on is, you guys know that we're very big into fragrance here at Fat Mascara, but I really wanted to lean into building out fragrance at Moda. Beauty is a small business within Moda, and fragrance obviously is a piece of that. So I wanted to think about building out fragrance. And we have a lot of niche fragrances. It's a very kind of dated term now. What is niche fragrance? Everything is niche fragrance now. But I wanted to, since we don't have a brick and mortar store, I wanted to figure out how to get people to try these smaller brands that we carry. So I created a discovery set for our clients. Sold out. Sold out, baby.
I saw your face the whole time you were talking about it. I was like, she doesn't have any left.
Sold out. But we're working on creating we're working on replenishing. We're working on replenishing, but everything we do is super small quantities, so it's difficult.
So my dear best friend who I started a podcast with can't even get one.
I didn't expect, but we're working on
That's
the winter.
Amazing. Congrats.
So I'm super, it just happened, but we had Regime de Fleur, we had Maisonetto, we had Santa Maria Novella, which I want to talk about in a second. We had Creed, and we had Kismet Olfactive. So those brands are really not easy to just go try at your local insert big fragrance, a big beauty retailer here. So that was a lot of fun to do. And I really like getting behind these kind of things.
What were you going to say about Santa Maria Novella?
Okay, so then another thing was I got to do some traveling for Moda Home.
Oh, yeah.
And went to Santa Maria Novella, did the tour. It was an amazing tour that they arranged.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for people who don't know, where is this?
It's in Florence. So I went with my home buyer. She's fantastic. Her name is Caroline Hirsch. So we went together. That was the only beauty thing we did. We did maybe a couple of other small beauty things because candles sits under home, a home fragrance is under, that's under that remit. But one of the things I was thinking about a lot, Jen, and I really wanted your perspective on this, was with home, everything, yes, we have a lot of newness, a lot of amazing new brands, groovy Brooklyn brand or groovy this brand. Newness is important, but obviously it's about where we were. Everything in home was old. Every company was about
how about had heritage?
Heritage. No, but yes, but it was just everything in beauty feels about new. Every brand we saw was the mom, the grandma, the great-grandma, it was all family heritage. I don't just mean the Hermes, this Atelier, that. It was And Hermes is French, but you know what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
everything was about a history of making products and like artisanal craftsmanship
Mhm.
and beauty. Obviously, we want, things that are going to improve, but everything was about, and beauty feels like new. And it was just so interesting to me.
Everything that's getting media hype, because I think of all the small, like more, yeah, I guess mostly fragrance. Are there makeup with heritage? Well, like modern cosmetics have only been around since the 1920s ish. And because of science, you're not going to like be using the same ingredients since
Fragrance, not
then. You're
so
right.
much.
Yeah, fragrance is more akin to that. So that
But it
makes
was
sense.
just like a culture, like it was like a cultural.
Yeah, where's the tubing mascara with heritage? Yeah, right. I get it. Very different.
But even like package, it was just like a cultural difference. I don't know.
It's not fast fashion by any means.
No, nothing was fast.
Yeah.
Nothing was
Well, that's
fast.
lovely. That sounds delightful, frankly.
It was really cool. Yeah, everything felt slow. Everything was gonna come slow. There was no rushing.
You're also in Italy, so I'm sure you were eating
Yeah.
dinner at like 9 o'clock at night and you're enjoying it slowly.
Yeah, and even just like, everything was a family. It was just, I guess, a little bit of the culture of Italian brands. But I said after about 3 of these meetings, I said, "Everything is like a family brand." And they were like, "Yeah, that's just sort of how it is here." I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm sure like the big corporate structures are not behind them, but I don't know, it's just something I really appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a lovely introduction
It was
to
nice.
their heritage. But you didn't just go to Italy, right? You were also in, I want to say, London, yes?
I went to London.
Because I saw you were on the Beauty Matter
I was on
panel.
the Beauty Matter panel.
What is Beauty Matter, by the way? It's just always been around, and you've lived in England, so it's British, right?
Well, no, Beauty Matter did a panel with the British Beauty Council. So Beauty Matter is fairly new. Beauty Matter is if you have like the Women's Wear Summit, Business to Fashion Summit, Beauty Matter has events, but they're also an amazing site. It's like a news site. So you do have to pay, but it's a very reasonable subscription. If you're in the industry, I do recommend that you check it out. They have
It's
like
like a
amazing
B2B
articles.
kind of
Yeah.
media. Okay, got it. Clearly, I do not subscribe.
But I feel like they're giving other sites like a real run for their money. So they had this panel and it was all about how British brands can break into the US. So it was standing room only and it was just so well attended and it was full of like loads of people who you would know. It was really interesting. And my panel was with Asha, the co-founder of Fable and Maine, and then Anna Teal from Grown Alchemist. And this was really interesting and timely because of everything that is happening right now with Grown Alchemist. If you listen to a lot of podcasts or read beauty news right now, you might know that Grown Alchemist, which is it's a British brand, is in Equinox.
The gyms. For non-American listeners, it's a big gym chain, of luxury gym chain. And honestly, when I was in my 20s and we'd be going out on a date, I had a membership and I would just go in there to like get judged up before going. Like I'd go work out and then it had like the best toiletries and the best blow dryers and
Yeah.
everything. But now all the toiletries there are Grown Alchemist.
Equinox had a very long standing, as far as I can remember. So, so since my 20s, certainly not my 20s for a long time, had a long standing membership with Kiehl's. And Kiehl's for a long time, their reputation has changed, but they were like the sexy bath and body brand. I think there's definitely like their reputation's kind of quieted. I don't think that it's just gotten like, a bit milder now. But Grown Alchemist gave them a good shove.
They took over the locker rooms.
They took over the locker rooms.
Look at that. She's throwing some news in as she continues her
Well, I think the thing with
sabbatical catch-up.
Kiehl's, I feel like Kiehl's was seen as like the kind of sexy urban brand. That's like the kind of gender neutral, sexy urban, like hip brand.
Well, beauty is very much like fashion in that these days now, brands have their rise. Same with celebrities. Like they're cool.
Cool. That's what I
You
mean. Like it
cannot
cool. It didn't go
maintain
back.
that level of it cool
Right.
factor in perpetuity.
Yeah, and it was also like a very politically woke brand. That word sounds a little like, kind of funny to
No,
hear
they
as
were doing a
woke.
philanthropical platform before that was a thing you had to do no matter what brand you were
Right.
at.
They were always on the cutting edge, and I think now it's like you just take for granted, okay, of course, Kiehl's, Equinox, yes, it's like standard. And I think by Grown Alchemist coming in, and it's like they have huge, huge, huge shoes to fill by doing that. And something that Anna Teal said on the panel, like, rung in my head when this happened. They don't like it's not like they have this huge, like, household name, but she said that they go where, like, highly affluent young people are and, like, basically, like, where, like, really wealthy people are. So she said that they got a lot of recognition by going in Delta One packs. I mean, a lot of people, like, their average bear isn't, like, flying Delta One.
Is that first class? Is that what they're calling it now?
I guess so, yeah, but, like, I mean, like, the fact that, like, most people aren't like, "Oh, yeah, Delta One,
The
sure,
fact
yeah."
that Jen Sullivan doesn't know what Delta One is. But yeah, I think it's like when you get little amenity bag
Yeah, like, I
on
look
the airplane. Okay, just
yeah.
checking.
And she said that they use intelligence to figure out where their client is. She was saying that they're very selective about where they go and they have the knowledge of where their clients are. So I think they went into this with a very strategic. They had data. They have the data to know where their clients are.
And their clients are working out at Equinox
Right.
or the people that should be buying their stuff. I get it.
Yeah. But I think what this whole situation revealed, because there's a lot of chatter online about this. There's a lot of press about this. I've seen a lot of, like, I've heard a lot of beauty podcasts talking about this, is that there's a real, like, emotional connection between people and their beauty products,
Mhm.
their space where they work out, their routine.
Oh my gosh, Eric used to work out at Barry's and they have Orbay or they had Orbay. And it was like when we were dating, every time I knew he had worked out because his hair had that scent, that Orbay scent of the shampoo,
Yeah.
which if you've tried it is a beautiful scent, but it has a cloud. And I was like, who is this guy that smells like Orbay? And then I found out he goes to Barry's. So that I was like, oh, that's why he smells like Orbay. I thought he like bought Orbay shampoo.
Yeah. I think, like,
Yeah, it's emotional.
yeah, like, there's data and there's emotion. And
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Mhm.
yeah. And I don't know, I definitely think they went into this deal eyes wide open, but the emotional connection is something that you can't underestimate that.
Yeah. Erica Metzger, who was one of the guest co-hosts, were talking about the connection to beauty products and how that is very much the nostalgia factor and not just the problem solved, this use. When we were looking for people's discontinued products and helping them find a replacement,
Yeah.
we realized as we were talking, we're like, none of these are going to be a replacement because what you're missing and trying to capture is that feeling you had when you were using the product.
Yeah.
So,
This is what I like to see in my shower. This is what I've done for 16 years at Equinox, or.
well, I don't work out at Equinox, but I guess they're very lucky because Grown Alchemist, I do like their products. So you did the panel, you went to Italy. Is
Mhm.
there anything else we should catch up on before we like do a little bit of news? Just try and get back into our rhythm here.
No, just happy to be back.
Yeah, let's take a quick break and then we're gonna do the news. So I know you wanted to talk about something. What this first news item, I just have to tell you, it's so funny. We picked a good one to come join us on Fat Mascara because Garrett, the same night that you texted me about this particular event that you're about to talk about, like 2 minutes later, Garrett texted me and he's like, "Did you go to the Firmenich event?" And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Blah." And then you were already texting me like, "I want to talk about this thing." And I was like, "See, great minds aligned." But now I'm mad I didn't go to this event
Yeah, it
and
was
whatever
good.
happened there. Tell me.
So the Fermentation My Nose Matter event, we talked about this like 5 years ago or no
For
more.
as a reminder, Firmenich is a fragrance house that makes many fine fragrances that you know,
They
but you
make
won't know
many,
their
many,
name
many
if
fine fragrances.
yeah, but they don't have their own label of fragrances. They're our listeners know this. Okay, keep going.
So, yes, they make many fine fragrances for, like, lots of other companies, and they did we I remember we did, like, an episode with them so long ago, like 2 apartments ago, because we had all these little vials, and they talk about trends in the market, and then they present these trends, and a lot of these trends are like very cerebral, very intellectual, and they can seem a little out there. But it's like anything. It's like going to a couture show. I mean, like, no one's gonna wear a hat made of glass. But then, like, 3 years
Who
later,
thought people are going to wear horse girl perfume?
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so, like,
I'm
maybe
speaking of Maison Tessa,
yeah,
but continue.
yeah, but maybe, like, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, they would have had something that's, like, in the air, animalistic sense, you know what I mean? Or, like, back to, rural inspo whatever, like, it starts very high level and then makes it to the streets. It's like that scene in Devil Wears Prada or the cerulean blue thing, you know? So, back to couple weeks ago, they have this big expo. They do invite people in the industry, like their clients who are like the designers of the world and the perfume, the
And
brands that you
creative
see in
directors.
Sephora. Yeah. So those are like their business to business clients. But they had a couple of sessions for people like me, people like Jen, people like Garrett. So called Mind Knows Matter. And they did this really interesting presentation. I just wanted to share a couple of the trends that I thought were super interesting that I wanted to bring to you guys. One, they talked about butter as being a note. This is very micro. I'm not going to do the whole sweeping story. I'm just going to give you some things I wanted to like pick up on.
Butter.
Butter as being a note. I sat there and there was some
Waxy.
butter in front of me.
Horse butter. Horse
Yes.
butter makes me think of butter.
Yes. Okay. They talked about, well, it was like, they didn't just say, like, okay, guys, it's all about butter. They had like,
Butter so hot.
okay,
right
yeah.
now.
They had these like, little films before everything. And it was like, you were looking at some kind of Greek looking islands. And then there was like this perfume that we smelled, and it was like notes of bread. And then there were like notes of olives and butter and everything. And at first I was like, this is whack. But then I thought, no, this could be like a new sort of, not a sweet gourmand.
Oh, while you were gone, we talked about vegetal gourmands, but this could be like a fatty gourmand.
I feel like this is completely a new area of food. Yeah.
Who did I talk about it with? Alex Pauly from High Snobiety. We were talking about rhubarb.
Oh, Hermes does a great rhubarb.
Yeah, well, like how some fruity was moving to vegetal, and that's very
Yeah.
much the Firmenich from like 3 years ago might have made that call, and then we're already seeing the market. So we're thinking 2 years from now, olives and rich, salty, fatty
Yes.
notes. I like this.
They didn't say this, but I feel this is a real extension. I'm surprised it didn't happen in parallel of the Tomato Girl summer, this kind of Mediterranean, white lotusy kind of
Yeah,
in that world. Picture like the spokes of the wheel. What fragrance would live in that world?
right. And I think of Sol de Janeiro and the old school Victoria's Secret body sprays, and they're like a sweet, yummy, desserty kind of
Yeah.
gourmand. And maybe this is a rich, salty appetizer kind of gourmand. Look at me. If you're out there and you make fragrances, did I just give you some talking points? You're welcome. Did Jess just give you an idea? She did. That's cool. What else?
Okay. Then they talked about this feels like to me it feels like a real like a concept that just exists in fragrance, but how it manifested was interesting. So they talked about pleasure and pain. To me, that's just like the opposites. Like you can't have one thing without the other. Like you're not going to double on sweet. You're not going to double on like dirty or, like you need like some tension between two different notes. So like pleasure and pain. So they gave us like the pleasure with this chocolatey note.
Okay.
And then the pain or, like, the tension or whatever, to me, this isn't pain, was and, like, Team Firmenich, Justin Welch, if I'm, like, not understanding, feel free to, like, come correct me, like, just, like, hit me up, was this note of wait for it, guys, BO. It was a BO note.
Okay. Chocolate and body odor.
The BO note was so rancid. It was like being on the subway, hanging on, and the guy next to you has the armpit blazing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
I mean, not to gross anyone out, but I kind of love the smell of BO.
Well, then
So
you would have loved
depending on the
this
person.
raw material. I'll ask them to send you some.
It's funny you said that because I'm reading a book right now. Sorry, aside, guys, but this book is so good and you have to get it. It's called Flavorama, A Guide to Unlocking the Art of Science and Flavor. And it's by a woman who's a PhD in like scent molecules and flavor, but worked at Noma, the fancy restaurant,
Yeah.
and like worked in their fermentation lab. But she describes why we like spicy, why we like bitter. And the thing about spicy was she was like, we're sick little Fs. I don't want to put an explicit on your very first episode back, so I'm going to say that. But the stinging sensation, like humans seek out that novelty. We need something that's bad to make something good feel better. And she was like explaining, yeah, why do we like spicy? There's no evolutionary reason you would reach for spicy food. And I love spicy food. So it goes to, I think, the elements that you were saying about the good with the bad makes them both more interesting.
Yeah. Well, you would have liked the scent. You would have really liked it. Okay. Is it weird that I don't like spicy food?
No, I mean that if someone gave me like a quiz on your personality and I had to pick whether true or false, Jessica Matlin likes spicy food, I'd be like false.
I like baby food. I like
and what would you say about me? True. So
yeah,
people know us. Yeah.
Like mushy old British food.
That's the third trend. It is British cuisine.
This one was a little sexy. Guys.
Oh, we've got one more. Okay. Tell me about the sexy one.
They talked about people having less sex. The new consumers, like the young people, are not having sex. I think you guys know this. Like, you guys don't need to listen to this podcast to get this information. But like, there's a lot of talk about like, this like sex drought, young people not having a lot of sex. People who are having the most sex actually are between the ages of 38 and 42. Very interesting. And they talked about the idea of secretions. I hate that word so much, guys. Like, throw up. Gross.
Yeah, on Jess's like bingo board of horrible things, secretions, anything having to do with eyeballs, spicy food,
fingernails.
That makes me think of, I can't remember the name, but the bottles had the red and blue target on them.
I know.
Bendel's used to sell them, and one of them was called Magnificent Secretion, and it had a note of you know what in it.
Wait, that was, I know which brand you're talking about. It's Hot something or?
It's Hot Libre, yes.
Yeah.
Just Google it, guys, because I can't even
my brain's still working. Yes,
it is. But also, I don't want to talk about it because
I know
Jess will get mad at me.
We don't need to talk about these things, okay? But the idea of honey being a note, that's I think like I don't think this would not have been like the major point of that slide, but I wrote it down.
I wish I could have sat next to you at Rutgers. I love how your brain works. I love that you think there was like a right and wrong takeaway, and this is my takeaway, but then like what's going to be on the test later? It was probably a constant struggle in your head of like, here's what I'm interested in, but they probably want me to think about this instead.
That's always how my brain works because I take away things that I think sometimes are not the main takeaway, but to me are the main takeaway.
Well, that's what analyzing things are, right? Like you're putting your spin on it.
Yeah, I put my own spin on things. And
that's
I think
why we started this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So that we could analyze beauty culture.
So yeah, I think that was really interesting. And I do think that, and we learned this actually at, sorry for Manish, at the Givaudan thing that we went to.
Direct competitor.
Yeah, direct competitor, that young people are not having a lot of sex. There's a lot of loneliness. And there's a Venn diagram between the two findings from Givaudan and Firmenich. It's a lot of loneliness. It's a lot of like emotional sort of isolation. And I think it's interesting that like the secretion thing, I feel like that was a very cool takeaway.
If you're not getting that intimacy with other people, a fragrance can give you that cocooning, intimate feeling. And honey, by the way, is right on for that for me. Listen, I'm not going to get into science corner, Jen, but honey is actually, if you know what a bee does and how honey is made, you'll probably never eat honey again. And for animal reasons as well, if that is important to you. But yeah, it has. And it also, I was just listening to a podcast with Julie Louis-Dreyfus, and it was Ruth Reichel, who I think is like the most amazing writer ever. And she hates honey. She won't eat honey. It's too much for her. It's very heady. It's very intimate. It's very like waxy, buttery. It kind of goes to the first thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
These all have like a through line. I'm feeling it.
To be fair to Firmenich, they did talk about cocooning and themes like that as well. So honestly, they did an incredible job. And I got to say, I was like smacking the table. Justin Welch, if you saw me just absolutely having like a mind, like I was like Harry Met Sally.
You guys, next year, Moda Discovery set, secretions. Can you imagine? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on away from Frank. This is what happens, guys, by the way. Jess and I have, of course, been in touch the last 3 months and hanging out, but like give us a mic and an hour without children or work or whatever, and you're just along for the ride, so deal with it.
Yeah.
Can we just talk in the last 3 months what happened? The last thing I want to talk about here in the news, blush. Have you been seeing the blush and being like, welcome, children. Welcome to what Jen and I have been saying for years.
I mean, Sabrina Carpenter, her blush is like...
So I actually interviewed her makeup artist, Carolina Gonzalez, works with her a lot. And Carolina is known for she's loved blush for years. But Sabrina at Coachella, like Coachella doesn't like make trends anymore, but like she gave these really flushed cheeks. And it was right around the time that if you partake in TikTok and you were thumbing your way through, you probably saw boyfriend blush, sunset blush.
So what is boyfriend blush? Can you define that?
It's funny you said that because I wanted to ask you what this thing is, but you know when like Prince William and Prince Harry, when they were younger and they might work out at Eton, what's the school they worked out at? Where did they go to high school?
I think they both went to Eton. I think
Eton. I'm picturing the paparazzi shots from the fields and they would have this like ruddy lower, what are those called? Those pink ruddy spots that some fair-skinned, light-skinned boys get on their cheeks. In my head, it was lamb chops, but I don't know if that's right.
I think they're just ruddy skin. They're fair.
Ruddy. But it comes in this lower spot, almost like where a beard would be on a guy. Is that kind of... So that is boyfriend blush. It is...
Girls want that.
So it's funny. If you're over a certain age, I'm going to say like 30, you don't want your blush low on your face. It drags your face down. In fact, the Doyenne blush, the higher, like right on the tops of the apples of the cheeks, right under the center of your pupils, kind of, or maybe back towards your temples more, which is blush draping now. The names they come up with, I can't. But boyfriend blush is lower to give that kind of like a ruddy look. Yeah, Jess's face is like, not doing that one.
Oh my God.
It wouldn't look, it's almost like contouring with blush, if you will, like going under the apple of the cheek. Anyway, it's hot right now. Sunset blush using 2 shades. And then really a lot of people like doing the temples and the edges of their eyes with the color. Something we used to do editorially.
Yeah.
It always looked gorgeous editorially, but like, would anybody do it? They're doing it. It's hot. And there's so many new blushes launching. And I checked on like 4 of them that I'm excited about, and they all have an embargo. So I can't tell you about them till July. But Makeup by Mario extended his blush line. Of course, we saw, remember Halle Bieber's Road? Maybe, I don't know if you saw this. She teased that she'd be doing blushes. So I assume they're coming this summer.
I did see that.
Lawless just did a new blush. It's just funny to me. I love it. I love it. Like the more places you can experiment and have fun with color on your face, the more excited I am about it. I like that we're not sticking to the same old template.
I want to know though, like, are people... So I don't have like a child in school, like in like middle school or high school, college. Are people wearing this to school?
So I have like amongst my friends and family, I have a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old girl, which is great because they're good. And the 16-year-old, it's not quite as dramatic and editorial, but the amount of blush she wears, if we had worn it in the 90s, it would not have been cool. You would have looked like a nerd, like you're stuck in the 80s kind of. Like it's very dramatic. Looking. I mean, look at Sabrina Carpenter is a good example. Like it's a lot of blush, but it's like, no, I'm not trying to mimic what nature did. I'm having fun with color.
Okay.
Which is cool.
No, yeah, I just want to know like how it's manifesting, how it's showing up.
No, I've seen it out on the streets too. Here in Park Slope, where there's a lot of teenage girls. Oh my God. Yeah. It's like I go to Prospect Park on certain times of the day after they get out of school or whatever, and there'll be like clumps of teenagers so I can like check out. Yeah, you know how they clump together.
A clump.
Wow, I'm sounding old, but it's fun. Okay, that was the news. We have so many more things to catch up on and trends going on, but I have the best raise a wand to play for you. So before we get into that, let's take a quick break and then we'll raise some wands. Okay, it is time to raise a wand. I have the perfect welcome back raise a wand for you, Jess. I will say, this is Taryn. We love you, Taryn. There's a little bit of fuzz in the beginning when she says she's from North Carolina. Just bear with us because I didn't want to edit it out because her entire message is great. So take it away, Taryn.
Hey, Jess and Jen. This is Taryn from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. First of all, I want to say a big welcome back to Jess. So happy to have you back on the pod. So for my Razor Wand, I want to shout out a whole collection. It's a recently launched collection by the Chinese beauty brand GirlCult, and the collection is called Gold Rush. First of all, the packaging is gorgeous, and if you're not familiar, GirlCult is known for their gothic chic art style, and the new collection is amazing. I want to shout out two specific products from the launch, the face palette and the lip glosses. The whole face palette is amazing, but the star, in my opinion, is the matte highlight. It's a pale lavender shade that's super pigmented and really brightening. And as a consumer of mostly Western beauty brands, where they're not as common, this was my first time trying a matte highlight, and it's absolutely life-changing. It really adds life to your face, but in a way that's pretty much undetectable. The palette also features 2 shimmery highlights, 2 contour powders, and 2 brow powders that are all really amazing quality. Now the lip products, they're probably the glossiest lip product I own, and I own a lot. There are 6 shades that range from a light mauve shimmer to a deep vampy brown, and they're all gorgeous. They're really plush and comfortable, and the best part is that they're a film-forming formula. And what that means is that once you apply the product and let it set for a minute or two, it forms this super glossy and mostly transfer-resistant barrier. So you can talk and drink and the product stays pretty much perfect. But as long as you're not eating something messy, it will stay on and remain ultra glossy. I just can't say enough about this lip product. So all in all, I think this brand is super innovative and so high quality and really unique and refreshing in a time where a lot of brands are all coming out with the exact same product. It just really made me happy and made me remember why I love makeup and beauty so much. Really reinvigorated my creativity. Thanks. Love the pod. Bye.
Hold on. I'm buying my first GirlCult cosmetic.
Am I right?
They sell them at walmart.com.
I'm on chicdescent.com is where I was looking at them. So I played that whole thing. I know that was like 2 minutes, but like everything about it, first of all, spoke to like our listeners. CS, by the way, did I tell you, Jess, I got recognized on the subway yesterday?
No.
What up, Gabby? Gabby was awesome. I'm like reading a magazine. This woman's like hovering over me. And then she sort of like does this like, and I was like, what, do I know you? I looked up and she goes, I love your pod. And I was like, oh, hi. It was just really funny.
Were you by yourself or no?
I was by myself, but she was cool. And whenever I meet one of our listeners, I'm like, you're cool. I'd be friends with you. So, Taryn, clearly you're a part of the club.
Somebody comes up, somebody talks to me on the subway that I don't know. I immediately, I'm like,
I get recognized all the time in Brooklyn. No, I had a feeling that's what it was going to be. Like sometimes I'll just be in a crowd. It happened once with my mother-in-law and she thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like, no, people listen to our podcast. Anyway, GirlCult is, Jess, I feel like this is like goes to your witchy teen years. It's like a beautiful goth, but
it's so cool.
This lip product, so it's called GirlCult Lip Glaze Gold Rush. And I think it's because it's part of the Gold Rush collection, is not golden color.
It's so good.
The depth in these colors, they're chocolatey, and the gloss that stays with them. And then she describes that this matte highlight is lavender. I think it's like a cool pinky, pale pinky purple. I don't know how that would work on a deeper skin tone. It might actually just be interesting and editorial, but on the model, it's just like, isn't everything gorgeous?
But you got to also check out the Quad Eyeshadow Palette Hallucination Series, long-lasting matte and shimmer 4 colors eye makeup.
I don't know if we can go shopping together while everybody's listening and we're recording.
The actual color that I like is called Lost Dream.
They're beautiful.
They're stunning.
And I agree with you, Taryn. This looks special and different and not just here's another lip oil in a tube in coral pink and beige. Yeah.
Tinted lip balm also looks pretty. Actually, I don't know if that looks special enough. I'm just going to be real. Maybe go to something else. Okay. We're live shopping
Maybe stick
right
with
now.
what Taryn raised a wand to, which is the new Gold Rush collection from GirlCult. I'm so curious if anybody else is trying this brand and familiar with it, DM us.
I love the name too.
Yeah, it's just super cool. I love that you brought that to us. She welcomed you back to the fold. It's time to raise wands. Find us some more discoveries. Honestly, 2 people are not enough to cover beauty market these days. There's so much out there. That's why we have the Fat Mascara listeners across the subways of America looking for beauty
It's
products.
a street team. It's a street team. It's the FM street team.
Yeah, tell us what you're loving. Call us. Welcome back, Jess, right? Like, call us and leave a little message. Maybe Jess needs a special product and you have something that you've been having and you want to talk to her about it. 646-481-8182. If you text me, I'll read your text. Like, I'll read it on the air. If you really don't want to leave a voice message, I totally understand. Or email us at info@fatmascara.com. It's time to raise our wands. Can I go first because I'm really excited?
Yeah.
Ever since, I think it was like a year and a half or 2 years ago, I did that whole thing on solid shampoos and I tried like 20 of them and I brought listeners the ones I liked. I wasn't able to try all of them. So I've continued the experiment. While you were away, we had on a fabulous sustainability expert from Pact Collective that it just really inspired me to like keep looking and pushing for things that were better for the environment. Have you ever tried the Davines solid shampoo?
No, you know that like I'm really skeptical about solid shampoos.
So am I. And I'm like, I'm going to keep trying even though they're not great. I don't know why I didn't try this one. It's the Momo is the version that I have. Sorry, it's used because I've been using it literally every time I shampoo. It is so moisturizing and makes oh my God, it smells so good. I don't know what this reminds me of. It reminds me of like high school, like hair, like pretty girl, like Brecky, Wella. Remember those balsam fir shampoos?
Balsam protein, not fur.
Huff it. Anyway, this is probably one of the first.
Fur. Why am I telling you it's not fur? I was so like adamant about that. I was like balsam protein, not fur.
What if I go to Davines and I'm like, what's the scent of the Momo shampoo? And they're like, it's berries. It is so good because it's really moisturizing. And that's the thing about solid shampoos. I feel like a lot of times they don't have enough moisture for my hair texture, for gray hair, for waves, for curls. And this one, even though it lathers, it's just really moisturizing. And now they have these little cute aluminum cases that you
like
can
the tin.
Keep it in, which keeps it from getting gross and mushy and disintegrating in the shower. Oh, I'm obsessed. Raise a wand. I'm going camping this weekend. Guess what's coming with me?
Where do you shower when you camp?
I mean, you don't always. If I'm only going for 2 nights, I just won't take a shower. But if you're car camping, there's always like showers.
Okay.
It's just you have to bring your little toiletry kit in and out. But if I'm like doing backcountry camping, there's no showering. You find a lake and you dip in a lake.
God bless. God bless Jen Sullivan.
This is why we bring two perspectives. We're different people.
Renaissance woman.
Isn't she though?
All right, I'm going to raise a wand.
I know that is how this works. It is your turn and you can raise a wand now.
Okay.
We're out of practice, guys.
Now it's my turn. All right. Ami Collet. Do you know the brand?
Of course. I actually have on their lip oil, their lip gloss right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I put it this stuff. The clear one.
The clear one. Okay,
it was the topper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The topper. So their brow products are incredible. I was debating whether or not to raise a wand to their brow pencil or their gel. Maybe I'll do a little duo for you, but I don't want to like make things too complicated. It's like a part A and a part.
I think we can handle it.
Okay. So they have a brow pencil and it is very sharp. It's like a twist up and it has a little, Oh,
I brought visuals, guys.
Jen is presenting. We did not even plan this. It's very fine. It's like a little sketchy pencil. Now, the founder, she actually used to work for Glossier and then she like spun out and did her own thing. She's a real, I hate this term, product junkie, but she's a real product junkie. She doesn't have a ton of product in her line, which I like. And she's a really big perfectionist. You know, I've met her before and we've talked to product before. She really was a stickler for getting a couple of these products right. I'm saying a couple, all of them right. But I know all of them right. But I know we talked about the brow products. I really like what she had to say. Because the brow products, she wanted to make sure that they could really handle coarse eyebrows and that they really laid down right and that they weren't like waxy, that it was more like thin sketch, thin that you could sketch. I notice when I use the Ami brow pencil, I'm not wearing it today, that it lasts all day and they don't look fake and phony. And then the brow gel. Do you remember the Mary Kay brow gel?
It came back. They discontinued it and then they brought it back.
Oh, it came back?
It's a
All right.
classic. It's doesn't flake. Oh, so
Okay.
many of them flake. A flaking eyebrow gel. I have so many eyebrow hairs. It's like my pet peeve because you look at your face and you look like you have face dandruff. And I'm like, it's the damn brow gel. So many of them flake because the holding polymers dry out. It's like hairspray.
Exactly.
Oh,
This I'm going to say, and I mean this is the highest compliment to Kiehl. It's like the Mary Kay one. It locks them in.
but it's moist.
Yeah, it's not
But
going to.
can you feel it? Do you ever put on a brow gel where then you raise your eyebrows and they like crack? Because
I could feel it.
that happens to me.
But it makes me feel like my look is tight.
Oh, you like to know that it's
I
there.
like to know that they're set.
Oh.
I like to, but I also am a little heavy-handed with the Kiehl. So maybe if I used a little bit of a lighter.
No,
touch.
I get the liking knowing that they're set, especially if you have longer, textured, curly. The white hairs in my brows are curlier than the brown hairs. They need to be locked down.
My eyebrows go down whenever I go to sometimes my mom, she'll kind of brush them up a little bit.
Thanks, Mom. There's a woman I know who had brow transplants. She had her head hair put into her brows because she didn't have enough. Actually, I think Chrissy Teigen had this procedure, but it grows head hairs, the cells.
Oh, wow.
So you need to trim your brow hairs because they're long, but they're like, if you have hair like that, or you've had a brow transplant, also, can you come on the show? Because I really have more questions. But a brow gel like Kiehl, yeah.
Yeah, the Kiehl is amazing. I just think those two products are just stand out. I think she got them right.
All right, raise a wand. That was a lot of wands, but it's our first episode back, so we had to really get into it. Did you have fun? Do you still love us?
Love you guys.
Love you. Go get some beauty sleep, and we'll see you on Friday. Oh, we have a good interview. We'll see you on Friday.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Raise a Wand product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.